You're listening to the Marne Report.
Hey, Fort Stewart and Hunter Army Airfield. This is Brian Lund, back with another edition of the Marne Report Podcast. And today I'm joined by Sergeant First Class Ryan Reis at the Mid-Coast Regional Airport. We are here in conjunction with the Army Golden Knights and USAREC National Education Tour. Welcome to the podcast, and how are you doing today?
Thanks, man. I'm doing quite well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Can you talk to us a little bit about what the Golden Knights are doing here today?
So our main goal here is to connect America's public with America's Army. So we do that by taking people on tandem skydives and showing them another aspect of the Army that they may not be aware about.
And what is the actual Golden Knights? What do they do on a day-to-day basis?
So it's our main mission focus is connecting America's public with America's Army. So we do that through demonstrations at air shows, sporting events, special occasions, tandem jumps, as we're doing today, and through competition with both international and international teams.
Do you guys go into different areas for these tours, or is it just you guys are at a home base? How does that work for you guys?
So we're all stationed now at Fort Liberty. That's where we operate out of. But both of our demo teams, we have black and gold Army colors. It's just a naming convention, so they like to compete and say the other one's better than the other. But friendly rivalries. But they'll travel all over the United States to include international. Our gold team is in France right now to celebrate the 80th anniversary of Normandy, and they'll travel all over. The tandem team will travel all over as well, and the competition teams will also travel nationally and internationally for wherever they tend to compete at.
That's really cool. And so why do you believe it was so important for the Golden Knights to come out here for this year's USAREC Tour?
Well, this is a big recruiting area that we have for the Army. So our USAREC, who's our higher command, plans where we're going to go each year. They start off and list our camps, and we don't have the option of to where it is we go, but we just give recommendation of where we had the most interaction, and this location tends to be one of our better ones.
And so what do you want the public to know about the Golden Knights? Somebody who was looking to get into this stuff, what would you say about the Golden Knights?
We can train you to become a better skydiver. We can't train you to be a better teammate. That's the biggest misconception. It's doing a series of small steps correctly that add up to a big thing. And I think that's similar with most things in life. So you have a don't quit attitude, you're a good teammate, and you want to be a part of something bigger than yourself outside of even the Army, let alone because you have to be active duty to join the team. But this is a small knit team, and not one of us wouldn't do something for the other. And it's a great place to be, and I wouldn't trade my job for anybody else's.
Yes, sir. And so then what does that process look like to becoming a Golden Knight and making this your MOS?
So there are 3 requirements. You have to be active duty Army or willing to become active duty Army, a minimum of 100 skydives, which is waiverable down to 75, and you have a clean military and civilian record.
Yes, sir. And final question, to the people who may not know much about the Golden Knights, what would you say about them as a representation of them?
It's the best job in the Army. It's the best kept secret and best job in the Army. We started in 1959, and we've been carrying on, standing on the shoulders of those that came before us, trying to improve it little bit by little bit.
All right. Well, thank you for your time. And to anybody who's listening out there, this is a really cool thing. I've been here all day for the last 2 days, and seeing the things they do on a daily basis has been really cool. So I want to say thank you for coming out to the USAREC Tour, and continue to do what you're doing.
I appreciate that. Thanks for having us out.
All right. Thank you.
The Digital Garrison app is your one-stop source for all things Fort Stewart Hunter Army Airfield. With the DG at your fingertips, you'll never miss out on upcoming events, installation updates, facility and gate information, weather, shopping, and so much more. Digital Garrison is free from your phone's app store. Download today.
Howdy, Fort Stewart and Hunter Army Airfield. We have Sergeant First Class Tracy Wallingsford, the USAREC Division Outreach NCO. How you doing today?
Good afternoon. How are you?
Doing great. So this has been the USAREC Education Tour week. How's that been for you so far?
It's been going good. We brought in a bunch of educators from across the country to show them everything that Fort Stewart has to offer, different MOSs and stuff, and seems to be very well received by them.
Yes, and I've been bouncing around. I was actually hanging out with the Army Golden Knights this weekend. It just seems like a super fun event. Can you talk about what is the primary goal of the USAREC Education Tour?
So what we try to do in Recruiting Command is we try to bring in these educators to try and build on relationships that we may already have, or foster new relationships with tough to penetrate areas for recruiting command, so places that may not be open to Army recruiters coming in and talking to students.
Right, and so to that point then, how are those people on the tour getting connected with you guys? How are they able to get involved so they can get this information back to the students?
Absolutely. We're usually our ESS, our education specialist within recruiting command, they reach out to some of these schools and offer this opportunity to them to come to places like Savannah and Fort Carson and stuff like that, so they can experience and maybe open their eyes to we're more than just infantry or combat arms jobs here.
Right, and so to that, for the USAREC Tour, what have you guys been doing around the installation? What places have you visited, and how was that received by the community?
We went and saw 2-7 Infantry, and they had a static display for us, so we got to climb around on some tanks and stuff like that, and they really enjoyed that. They got to enjoy the dining facility over at Rocky Warrior Restaurant, as well as band demonstration. They got to go to the education center and talk to them about Army education opportunities as well. And a few people got to jump with the Golden Knights, as you saw. Hospital tours, stuff like that. We're trying to show these educators that there's a ton of things we can do in the Army. There's a ton of opportunities, not just what they see on TV or maybe what they've been told.
Gotcha. And so to that point, is there any other takeaways that you want these educators to get while they're on tour here?
I want their eyes to be opened to recruiting command. Like, we're trying to assist their population, their children and their centers of influence and stuff like that, to go on and be like, hey, the Army is not what you think it is, that this is a viable opportunity and option for you. And it's not, a lot of times we get told, hey, the Army isn't for me right now. I got to go to college. I got to go to college. I got to go to college. And while we do need to go to college while we're in, it's not always the best first step, if that makes sense.
No, totally. It does make sense. Everybody definitely has different paths.
For sure.
So I know for the Educators Tour, this is a week-long thing, but post-Educators Tour, is there a way that you guys are still getting resources out to these teachers?
So we try to do it year-round. It's not always successful because, of course, they have other things that are going on. But these relationships that we've built, what we want to do is create this sphere of their influence where they go back and they tell their friends or family or stuff like that, usually fellow educators, and we can spread the message that way. We maintain contact. Of course, there's GroupMes and Facebook pages and stuff like that for all of us to still stay in contact, and that's where we post links or information, usually year-round.
After each tour, is there a thing where you guys are getting the feedback from these educators so you can maybe change it up from tour to tour, maybe switch it up to different locations so that they can get the most out of these experience?
Yes, absolutely. So everybody knows that South Georgia is really hot, and these people are coming from all across the country. So we do try to bounce it around based off where we've been. So last year we did it at Fort Carson. This year we're doing it here. There's talks of maybe going to Cavazos next year, but they like to bounce it around. And of course we do an AAR at the end. We send that out to them once they get home, give them about a week or so to think about their experiences. Send them that AAR. That way any feedback that they can give us, we can adjust fire on that and give them the most beneficial experience possible.
And so to the listeners out there that are listening to this podcast, how do they find you if they're interested in getting involved or wanting to spread this message to their students?
So what they need to do is they need to get with their local recruiting offices. Their recruiting offices can give them all the resources. They're all armed with the right equipment to be able to do so. And if they have any further questions, then there's Battalion ESSs, the education specialist, that can assist them throughout the process and get them more resources as well.
Yes, sir. And as we wrap up this conversation, is there anything else you would like to add on behalf of USAREC?
No, I just want to tell anybody that may have participated or, ran into some of these people while we were on the tour, thank you for treating them so well and being respectful and answering any questions, no matter how small or big that may have been. So thank y'all.
Yes, sir, and thank you. This has been a special week, and just seeing this from my perspective, it just seems so involved and fun, and we're able to push this message. So thank you for all you do and everybody else that made this happen.
Thank you.
All right. Well, guys, that's all for this podcast. We'll see you guys next week.
If you or someone you know needs crisis support, dial 988. This 3-digit dialing code connects directly to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, where compassionate, accessible care and support is available for anyone experiencing mental health-related distress. The 988 Lifeline helps thousands of people struggling to overcome suicidal crises or mental health-related distress every day. There is hope. Call or text 988 today.